Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And we have, you guessed it, yet another amazing guest this morning. And she is a 23-year-old registered nurse who has turned to digital marketing and has 550,000 Facebook followers in 5 months, is getting married soon, is wanting to live her best life. And boy, oh boy, does she deserve it. Riley, welcome to the show.
Hey Dave, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, have you heard about the show before?
Yes, I watch it weekly.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. So you're getting married soon or this year?
Yep, this December, so less than
Okay.
3 months, so it's soon.
Okay, you're excited about that?
Very excited.
And living a little bit of a slower life, you said in your questionnaire. Is that right? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, my fiance and I have just goals of kind of living away from the city. Currently, we are South Houston, so we're in between Galveston and Houston, suburbs. It's busy. There's construction. It's hard to slow down, and I want to buy a piece of property, and I just want peace and quiet, and yeah. So those are our goals.
Nice. So, tell us what led you to Legendary. What were you looking for? Do you feel like you found it? Tell us your story.
I definitely found it. So my story is a little bit different than most. I graduated nursing school last April. So I'm a baby nurse, it was in the midst of COVID was when I was in nursing school. So there was just a lot of questioning, a lot of things that made me just kind of be like, maybe a second stream of income wouldn't be a terrible idea. And I had come across, the famous M. Walcott, and was just watching her videos actually for 2 to 3 months. And then I think, let's see, I graduated nursing school in April, and then I started my first night shift nurse in July. And I think in July is when she kind of kept popping up and she kept showing up.
Right.
And then I started my second month. I think I ended up investing in the $7 challenge. And I remember like during my night shifts, if I had a slow time, I would like watch some of the videos from the challenge. And then I ended up investing in the blueprints not too soon after. And then I sat on it for 6 months and didn't do a thing because I wish I could say that I got on it sooner, because I do, and that's something I regret. However, looking back, like I was not in a stage of my life where I could really go all in like I am right now. So I was worried about being a new grad nurse. I was working nights. My shifts were never consecutive, so my sleep schedule was whack. My fiance is in the blue collar industry, and he works 70 plus hours a week. His schedule is whack, so we were like two passing shifts in the night. So it made it hard on our relationship, and yeah, it was just difficult. Night shift was not for me. So I ended up coming across like an IV clinic job. So I quit my night shift job, and now I have a part-time job working with IV vitamins and intramuscular shots, and I love it. And it actually was like God just planted all of it in front of my face, because now I have the time to go all in on this. Whereas before, I know I wouldn't have,
Yeah.
wouldn't have given it my all. So it definitely was from God.
Well, hey, amen. So has how has life changed, or what has happened since you have gone all in? I know that were sending people and showing people your Facebook profile, which you're somewhat I mean, you said the famous M. Walcott. I think you're famous on Facebook now, the famous Riley Hargrove on Facebook. Tell us how things have changed once you actually went all in, and do you wish you acted faster? I mean, just in terms of not, making, I guess, more decisive decisions in order to kind of move things along. I think everything happens for a reason, and you seem to think that things happen in God's time. And hey, I agree with that. I mean, when we make plans, God laughs, right? So it's like, we're not really in as much of control as we think we are about kind of the whole world. We are in control of our actions. But what has happened since you did sort of take the bull by the horns and say, hey, I'm not going to sit back and I'm going to put this thing in high gear?
I have never been more proud of myself, honestly. Even a 4-year bachelor's degree in nursing, I've never been more proud of myself in the mindset that's grown within me, um, how I go about my day. I think my closest friends and family, even my fiance, has just seen a new side of me that's like, I'm ready to go after it. I know what I want and I'm gonna get it. Don't know how fully it's gonna pan out, but I know I'm gonna get there. And yeah, showing up every single day, like I haven't given up on myself. I've had to cut certain things out, certain friendships, certain activities that we would do maybe every single weekend that most 23-year-olds would do,
Mm,
that don't really feed the lifestyle that I want. And truthfully, at the end of the day, it's just going to continue to hold me back. Um, and I think my closest people that I hold dear to me have started to see that a little bit, and they respect it,
mm,
which I appreciate. And then there's other people that are just kind of like, man, they're always so busy, they never want to hang out, and it's like. My fiance is finally at the point where he's like, we're leveling up, we're better than most 23-year-olds right now. We're getting after it, and
What's his name? What's his name?
Dylan.
Hey, Dylan. Hey, shout out to Dylan for
Yeah,
leveling up with you and sort of
yeah,
recognizing that, hey, you're never too early, right?
yeah.
To start doing big things and start building your own Jay-Z and Beyonce life, right?
Yes, and he like will brag about it to friends at work that he's at, and he's like, I was telling this truck driver at work because he does crane and rigging, so he works with a lot of different style of blue collar workers, and he'll kind of tell them about it, and they're kind of like, oh, like that's really interesting. If I was 23, I would do that, and I'm like, let him know if he's in his 50s, he can do it too.
That's very sweet. That's very nice. I'm happy to hear that Dylan's such a great guy.
Yes.
You certainly deserve that.
Thank
Well,
you.
you're on fire. I mean, you're talking about cutting, friends out and, leveling up and setting boundaries and kind of all that stuff. What have you realized that you want now, and how were you unclear about it before? And do you believe that the traditional sort of education system and society sort of grooms us to sort of play to strive for actually less while manipulating us and saying, but you're really going for more. You know what I mean? Like, talk to us being a 23-year-old, what you've experienced through high school and college. And now you realize it's not actually all of what you want and isn't all of what it was made out to be. There's actually other levels above and beyond that you can access right now. Can you give us that perspective?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, since high school, my freshman year of high school, they were telling us, pick your major of what you want your major to be in college. And it's something that my sophomore, junior year of high school just kind of made my mind up and was like, I love helping people. I have a heart for helping people. Nursing is what I want to do. And I truly don't take that lightly. I worked very hard for that degree. And I know it's a little bit different than getting a degree in something that maybe not be so specific. You need education to become a nurse.
Mhm.
And I'm so honored to be one, but at the end of the day, nursing's not going to take me to where I want to be.
Mm,
And I think even throughout school, it was like I got into the real world in night shift nursing, and I had seen these nurses that had been working here for 30 plus years, and they were just so jaded. And I
mm,
remember at some point being like, I can see how I could get that way.
mm,
I could see how, it's just day in and day out. And in night shift, I'm like, they call it the graveyard shift for a reason.
mm,
I crave the schedule. I want to, do better by my body. And the holistic side has always piqued my interest more, which is kind of why I was thankful I got out of the hospital setting.
mm.
Um, but I don't really know where I was going with this, but I remember looking at those nurses and being like, I don't want that to be me 30 years down the line. And you see all of these successful people online, or even extremely successful people that are rich. And most of the rich people I know actually don't have a college degree.
Hey!
Yeah. Yeah. Most of them do not. And so I just remember being like, why is it so hard?
Yeah.
Both of my parents are My dad worked for the feds. He was a federal probation officer. My mom was a probation officer. I have very
Probably
hard
my probation officer at one time.
I remember working like, I remember looking at my family, like growing up and being like, man, my parents grind. They work so hard.
Yeah.
And like, why is money still a problem? Like, I don't understand. And I have, richer friends. And I just remember being like, why is it so easy for them? And
Mhm.
I'm thankful for the way that I grew up. I never really struggled in a lot of ways. I just remember being very hyper aware of money and
Mm.
hyper aware of that it's not easy to come by, and the cost of a dollar, how much is a penny really worth.
Mm.
So I'm a saver. I don't buy extravagant things. Time to me is more important, and that's why I did this. That's why I invested in this education, because this truly is going to build skills for me that I can, in the long run, take wherever I want to go. it
Mm.
doesn't it doesn't matter where I'm at in any stage of life. Like, I know if my boss calls me today and say, hey, sorry, we found a better person, like at the end of the day, like, great, because this is what I'm going to go all in on, and it's going to work for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
You got a lot. I mean, you said you didn't know where you were going. Boy, you took us to a place right there. I mean, and coming from a 23-year-old young woman who has recently seen the system, right? As the system, and what I mean by that is the same system that we've all been through.
Yeah.
And it's there's two sides to the coin too, because as you pointed out, such an honorable thing to do, to follow through and to work hard and to graduate high school and to go to college and to get a meaningful, honorable career like nursing. And you should be proud of that. And you're absolutely right. My father was in the hospital for 77 days this year, and I talked to a lot of nurses, people, a lot. Now I talked to a lot of nurses on this show. Okay, we've had 810 something people, and that there are a lot of nurses, a lot of medical professionals, all have the same story. All have a big heart, all have a heart to serve, all did everything they were supposed to do, got the good grades, got the good job, have the big heart, did a good job in their job, and still paying off student loans, still renting a house,
Yep.
still can't get ahead, still living in the city because hey, you know what? You talked about the suburbs. Well, there's the city, the suburbs, and then there's the farmlands,
Yeah.
right? They ain't even into the suburbs. They're still in the city because why? Can't live too far away from the hospital.
Yep.
And then you talk about, the pandemic and how you went, what you were sort of realizing as that went on. And then, something like that hits in the very best of America has to show up every day. They're deemed essential, but who's suffering? Well, their family's suffering. They got to go home and isolate. They can't, right? So it's really you used the word whack earlier. It is very whack, right? It is very whack. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you another thing that I know about nurses. This is no offense to doctors, but nurses are the real lifesavers in hospitals. Nurses are the ones who are doing all the work. Like the doctors come in, we need them. They
Mhm.
specialize, they do surgery. Yes, yes, yes. Not minimizing their impact. But you know what? It's the nurses who give the updates to the doctors. It's the nurses who are on the front line inside of the rooms with the patients 24/7, doing all the dirty work, right? Doing all the serious work. I saw it with my own eyes. I'll never forget it. And you're also right. I also saw nurses who had worked in that particular ICU where my father was at for 30 years. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm talking about we're older than some of the nurses who were actually in there who were new. And you're right. I mean, God bless this one particular lady. God bless her. I mean, you could tell she was worn down,
Yeah.
but she was a seasoned vet. Like she really knew what she was doing. I really felt safe with my dad and her under her care, but I really also just felt so bad for her because, it just takes a toll and
It
I
does.
could see it in her eyes like she was just tired. And yeah, it's tough. It's a tough thing. And so you're getting a ticket out right now, right? You're kind of
Yeah.
getting a ticket out.
Yeah.
And and you're taking it. And that doesn't mean that you don't feel proud, that you shouldn't be proud of your career and your all the things that you've done. And you have so much experience that you're now able to share with us right now,
Mhm.
that you can share with other nurses, that you can share with other people. Um, what's coming up for you as I'm kind of talking about does this feel like it fits anyway, as I'm reflecting back a lot of your thoughts and then adding my experience of what I've seen with both being a young person coming up through the system and being groomed for college and a good little job, and then also I'm one of the ones who sort of escaped the matrix, not because I was so smart. You know what I mean? It was because I was like, oh, I see up ahead and it is trouble, right? I was like, running away from home and in the streets and, doing drugs and getting arrested and kind of all that stuff. And I just got blessed to find recovery and get clean and stuff like that. But, how are you dealing with being a 23-year-old who's not on the same path as so many of your other friends? And as you alluded to that earlier, there's got to be some judgment. There's got to be, how you're dealing with a lot, not just dipping out on the career that you sort of have been groomed for and then working towards, but also you're leveling up in terms of what probably every other 23-year-old that is doing, right?
Yeah, no, it was difficult at first. I mean, especially like I'm very open with the people that I deem close to me. So I, told my parents everything, my brother. And I will say, like, everyone was a little hesitant at first. Um, and then my mom was actually the one that was like, I'm so proud of you. Like, just go for it if you want it, and Dylan was like, yeah, I mean, if it's something you want to do, go for it. And it was different because at work, I remember I started the challenge and I was doing my meetings with Bonnie and stuff when I was working night shift. And I remember I'd kind of bring it up and they'd kind of just like my coworkers, just be like, oh, okay, like whatever. And I feel like people don't really think it's real, like you say it and they're just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that's your interesting. Like she's trying to be an influencer or whatever. And it's like, no, and then I finally start sharing like, hey, I'm seeing some success. And they're like, whoa, what? Like,
Mm,
oh, that thing that you were doing before, that's working. And I'm like, yeah, like it's anybody's game. Like
mm,
it really is. And I wish that it's so joked about too. Like I feel like nursing is so glamorized in the fact of talking about how exhausted you are and like putting in the grind, and like it's so exhausting, it's tiring, but at the end of the day, like you have to be the person to make the decision for yourself. If you are so exhausted and so drained you have no time for anybody else in your life, then it's time to make a change. It's time to do
mm,
something different. Be about the actions. Don't just sit around and complain about it. And I just remember seeing like in the hospital a lot of complaining. Oh, my time didn't get approved, oh, yeah, I never see my family. I never see my husband. I'm missing out on this event. Like, I remember missing my very first Christmas. Gosh, that sucked. That sucked so bad. And I just remember being like, why did I work so hard for this degree in nursing school to begin with? I mean, I went straight from the chaos and anxiousness of nursing school, and they put you in a state of fight or flight like all
mm.
the time. You graduate that and you go straight into night shift as a new grad. And I was a PD nurse, so I had birth to 18 years old, and you have children's lives in your hand. Like, that's stressful, not to mention your sleep schedule. And we won't even go into how important that is, but like that gets all whack.
Yeah.
It's just like, I wish more people knew about it, but like at the end of the day, you have to be the person to make that decision for yourself. Like I can sit and share my story with as many people as I want, but at the end of the day, like if you're not willing to make a change, if you're not willing to even like question if this is for you, then you're just going to stay stuck. Like
Yeah.
that's where you're going to be, and that's your decision.
What's weird is that you were talking about your coworkers thinking that like this isn't real. And it's like, what is this? Well, what this is, what we're doing here is we're just a company that creates courses, coaching, and events on
Yeah.
4 particular business models that happen to be just our favorite business models that you can use as an entrepreneur to make money online and build a business online. But there's thousands of businesses you could go into to
Yeah.
be an entrepreneur. And
Yeah.
what people are really skeptical of is entrepreneurship. And the reason why that is, and that just shows how powerful the system is, the public school system, and also even private school, although you would hope that there's just better education, more choices for
Yeah.
kids in well, hopefully this comes into public schools too. But how different do you think people would be in their mindset if in high school, not in college, but in high school they began to learn about being an entrepreneur?
So different.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So different. I didn't even have any. I didn't know how to write a check in high school. I didn't. I was in college, and my mom was like, "Oh, you got to do your taxes." I was like, "What?" Like I don't.
Yeah.
Who will teach you
Right.
that stuff?
Right. Well, here's
No.
why. Here's why, Riley, is because your job does your taxes for you.
Yeah.
A
You don't
job,
do it
if
for
you're
yourself.
right, if you're a W-2 employee,
Yeah.
your job handles all your taxes for you. If you're a 1099 or a business owner, you have to file your taxes by yourself. A 1099 contractor means that you own your own business and a
Yeah.
business is doing business with you. All
Right.
of you as affiliates are going to get a 1099 from
Mhm.
any company that you affiliate with, because you're not an employee of that company. Any money that they paid you, they're going to give a 1099 to you, and they're going to file that to the government as an expense. So
Right.
you pay taxes on that money that you received instead of them paying taxes on it. And so the reason why you don't need to know about filing taxes or any of that kind of stuff before you go into college and all that is because college is not going to teach you how to be a 1099 contractor, meaning that you own your own business. They are going to assume that you're going to go work for a company as an employee, and you're going to have that company handle your taxes for you. Now, there's it's not about one being right or wrong. It's not, friends.
Having the
Everybody
option is
shouldn't.
nice.
Seriously, it's about having choices, and it's
Yeah.
about knowing what the hell you're doing instead of just pulling the wool over all of our young people's eyes in high school and college and just assuming that they're not going to want to be entrepreneurs, that they're not going to want to be contractors, that they're not going to want to go out there and do affiliate marketing, they're not going to want to go out there and create courses or even do drop shipping or Amazoning or whatever, or have their own lawn business, or so many of us have skills that we develop as young people being around our parents. For example, I developed a lot of construction, plumbing, carpentry, tile skills, and I could easily and was going to open a business before I started online. I was going to be my own contractor. And so many of our young people have skills that they develop as young people, but the public school system and most school systems are there to create fact. It goes back really to like the Great Depression and those times where, the United States of America needed factory workers,
Yeah.
needed labor. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like we needed labor, we needed grunt work, we needed factory workers, right? There was already established corporations inside of America that, for example, during these wars, were, like what happens when war happens? Well, you need soldiers, you need factory workers. The government puts a mandate on all the corporations that they have to like stop doing what they're doing and start, building, military equipment. And the America just really kind of found that groove and built our entire system around just grooming our young people to become factory workers, grooming our young people to become soldiers, grooming our young people to become employees. And we never really got back into that sort of creative, innovative. You had to be uh, our most successful people. If you look at it, the richest people in America are people like Mark Zuckerberg,
Mhm.
who dropped out of college to pursue a business idea. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like those are our most
Risks.
successful. Huh?
They took risks
They
to
took
get to where
risks.
you are. Yeah.
they sort of unplugged from the typical matrix system, just like myself. I mean, sometimes it's by accident. In my case, it wasn't on purpose. I don't take credit for being so smart that I, found entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship really found me. It was sort of my last resort, one of the only things I could do. But this is a deep conversation. It's a huge story that you can tell as a young person. You already are telling it this morning so beautifully and powerfully on this show. Gets me fired up because I've been talking about it for a long time too. I started at 24 online, and I was also going to, I started out in network marketing. I was approaching friends and family and stuff like that. They were like, get out of my face, you little turd. I mean, we don't want to do whatever you're doing. You were just homeless. You were just addicted to drugs. We don't want to. And lo and behold, I stumbled my way onto the internet because offline stuff wasn't working for me. I couldn't earn anybody's respect or trust because I was just a young punk kid in their eyes. And so I found my way online, and I built my own audience. I started to deliver my own. I realized I had more to say and more knowledge than I thought I did. And I realized I could learn a new skill. I did eventually get on video, and I started to tell my story and intertwine that with products that I wanted to sell. And so what's it been like for you to go from nursing and mostly interfacing with people to being on camera, being on video? What are some of the limiting beliefs inside of your head, or insecurities, or feelings of vulnerability that you felt that you've also had to overcome in starting to create marketing content?
Limiting beliefs, 100% huge. I will say, looking at my videos from when I started over 5 months ago now to now, I mean, I've grown drastically. You really do have to. I actually talked with M. Walcott yesterday. She told me to tell you hi. But she had kind of mentioned, like, marketing isn't something that just flows into you. Like, you have to pour it into yourself. Like, you have to be listening to podcasts, reading books, educating yourself on different ways to better your content, better your emails. Like, everything it's something you have to put in work, but you have to learn it. It's not something that you can just snap your fingers and be like, I'm doing it and I'm successful at it. It's like, people that are successful at this have really invested the time and energy to learn the skills. Like, and I remember Bonnie saying that, like, if you focus on the skills, everything will follow. You just got to learn these skills and everything will follow. And it's so true. And not to mention just the skills, but like your mindset on top of everything. I wish it was easy that I could just snap my fingers and say that, like, I believed in myself and like I knew I was going to do it. And I think the more that I showed up for myself, the more I believed in myself and the more proud I was of myself, because I was like, all right, I'm a month in. I've showed up 3 times a day, every single day. I've learned a few things. Let's get to the next month. And it never for me was like, yeah, month 3, if it's not working, I'm going to quit. I just remember every single day telling myself, like, you can only fail if you quit. You can only fail if you quit. So just don't quit and you're not going to fail and it's going to work for you. And I feel like even if I have those negative thoughts in my head, in a nursing school, I think everybody just needs to go to therapy. But I went to therapy when I was in nursing school just because I had a lot of anxiety and I didn't know how to manage it. And I remember my therapist telling me, if you ever get to a spot where you feel these negative thoughts come into your head, like, it's going to work for her, or it worked for her, it's not going to work for me. Yeah, she got lucky. She hit $100,000 in 2 months. Like, yeah, something like that just doesn't happen for people like me. Like, if you feel those thoughts coming into your head, literally out loud say, stop. And then you need to spend twice the amount of time inputting, you're only going to fail if you quit, so don't quit. You're only going to fail if you quit, so don't quit. You're going to do this. It's going to happen. Like, I just have, even if it's something that, like, you don't fully and honestly know how it's going to pan out, like, you just have to keep pouring that into yourself, because unlearning these habits that you've learned your entire life is such a difficult thing to do. It's so hard. Nobody in my family thinks or has thought the way that I am learning to think right now. And I say learning because it's something I have to do every single day. I have to practice it. And I do use the 5-5-5 method because and oddly enough, like, it's worked. I made my first high ticket commission after practicing and implementing those things. Like, it's something you have to work on every single day.
Yeah.
It's not something that just comes. And you have to, implement that with the education. You have to teach, or you have to learn all of these skills, continue to learn, don't stop learning. And then you also have to train your mind every day, because it's not something, if you stop, the negative thoughts come back. It's not something that just like quits.
Paul said, "That's a hat throw." You're right, buddy. Oh, that was a mouthful of gold. Justin says, "What is the 5-5-5 method?" So does Alicia.
Yeah, the 5-5-5 method is where for 5 days in a row, you write something as if it has already happened in the future 55 times. So you get out a journal. I have my journal right here. You can literally see all my stuff. So you literally write like, I am so thankful I had my first 5-figure month. I am so thankful I had my first 5-figure month. And actually, I did get this from Becca and Caroline, but it's working for me. And it also, like, when I start my day off like that, it starts your day out on, like, you believe in yourself. Like, when you're done, you're like, yeah, it's going to happen. And then you're more fired up to make your videos. You're more fired up you feel more empowered on where you're going in this journey. And like, it really has helped me. Another thing is just journaling. I know Becca does something where she just writes her thoughts. She wakes up in the morning and she writes 2 full pages of her thoughts. And it's supposed to clear out anything that comes in your mind. Gotta do the laundry, flip the clothes, clean the dishes, like do whatever. And it actually clears your mind of the clutter and creates a more creative side. That way you're finally able to just like be more creative and think for your content and for your day. So I've practiced that a few times. It's so helpful. Like find something that works for you and stick with it. Because implementing positivity in your life is something you have to do. You have to do it. It's not something that just comes.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the reasons why I wear the same thing every day. It's just because I found myself at one time, like, mulling over too much, spending too much time, like thinking about like what I was going to wear and just like how I was going to look and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, who cares? Just wear the same thing every day, eat the same thing every day, which is, I'm a little bit of an extremist, but I just eat these bars
I
every
love those. Yeah.
Yeah. RX bars. I like the chocolate sea salt. It gets stuck in my teeth. I just have to clean it out after. I had one right before I came on here. I do every morning, but it just eliminates the thought of like, am I going to have something to eat? How am I going to feel? Like all this stuff. I try to do things that where I can predict the outcome. The other thing that you mentioned is you mentioned writing things into existence and speaking things into existence. And, this is possibly one of the most important things in terms of our mindset, confidence, and ultimately our success, because people can tell, they can pick up when we're not feeling confident. Tara yesterday alluded to the fact that like she became more confident and people could tell that she was more confident, right? Because people can tell, they can read you if you're not confident and convicted about what you're doing. And so when you're not on camera, it's really important to watch your language. How am I speaking about myself? How am I speaking about what I'm doing? Am I talking badly? Am I talking down about myself? There's a difference between deprecating humor and just low self-esteem. I mean, usually good self-deprecating humor comes from people who have great self-esteem, because you're okay making fun of yourself. You see this a lot with comedians. But talking down about yourself, like one simple way that you can kind of gauge where your self-esteem is at is if somebody gives you a compliment and you're like, oh, yeah, that's nothing. Right? Instead of just being like, hey, thank you. That means a lot to me that you said that. Right. That takes a lot of self-esteem to be able to receive a compliment and then vulnerably let somebody know that it meant a lot to you. That requires actual self-esteem versus what you see 99% of people do, which is if they receive a compliment, they're like, no, don't mention it or whatever. Right.
You get awkward and
you get awkward. You get because you're just not used to somebody validating you. And why? Because you don't validate yourself. That's why. That's exactly why. You mentioned therapy. I mean, I've done an ungodly amount of time in therapy. Started back in 2004, really, when I went into a court-ordered drug treatment center, and that's where I was sort of introduced to the world of recovery and so forth. I would credit a lot of my success to having gone to therapy and really having a safe place to be able to process my feelings, having a safe professional person to help me to navigate different life situations and get like feedback, to learn how to talk to myself, to learn how to talk to others. A lot of the various communication methods that I use came from, some of my therapists, and
Yeah.
I still have interaction and involved with at least one group I've been a part of for 6 years, and we travel all around and we go and stay at each other's houses and hang out for the weekend and do work. And a business is not going to solve your personal emotional problems, friends.
Yeah.
This is something that is really, really important. Some of you are looking, it's kind of like you're looking for, we do this with relationships and we do this with businesses. We think that a relationship is going to solve all of our problems. So we jump from one dysfunctional relationship to the next, thinking that, well, I just have the wrong partner, right? No, you have the wrong picker. And in order to upgrade and improve your picker, you have to improve, you have to upgrade your own self-esteem, and you have to upgrade your own identity and your self-image, and you have to learn how to love yourself, and you have to determine really clearly what your boundaries are and what you're going to tolerate. And business is not going to solve all of your problems either, because guess what? Everywhere you go, there you are. Right. So you're going to bring your bad, broken mindset right into a business. And that's why we do recommend um, this mindset work, even with certain business books that sort of begin to change your mindset, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But at the end of the day, you may have self-destructive, self-sabotaging behaviors that are deep rooted, that you could benefit from going and finding a therapist to talk to and process. A business coach is not going to solve all of your problems. A business course might not solve all of your problems. So you need to be willing to find self-improvement in other areas on this journey as you go through to start something new and big and serious, like a business or like a new relationship, because it will give you a better chance to be successful with it. Now, Riley, what's coming up for you as I share a little bit of my experience on that?
Yeah, I personally, my mind was I was thinking about something else that I really wanted to share and touch on
Go
before
ahead.
this ended. But I did want to say, like, don't don't focus so much on going viral, um, because everyone always talks about monetizing your social media. And I remember for the longest time being like, what the heck does that even mean? Monetize my social, like everyone's like, yeah, and you gotta monetize your social media. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I just want this to work. Like, why is it not, And I realized it's just sharing your story. Like, that's all it is. Like, share you. You have something, a part of you that nobody else in this world has, but a lot of people can relate to it. So just sharing that is huge, because somebody out there is going to relate to a similar situation, and going viral is, it's not going to convert, guys. It's not. Like, that's like, and that's coming from somebody who has gone viral and it not converted. And like, I wish I could say I had gone about it differently, but like, you see the best in your business, in the growth, and in yourself, honestly, when you're honest and upfront to who you are in your story, what brought you here. Everyone always says, how am I going to make money if I haven't made money? What do I do if I haven't made any money doing this? And it's like, share your story. There's so many people that, just share their journey at first before they even offer any product they're promoting. Like, they just share, hey, this is day one of my affiliate marketing journey. If you're interested in how I'm going to get to 5-figure months, follow along for more. Like, it doesn't have to be some, big thought out thing. Like, people just like the honesty. They like the come as you are. They really enjoy those things. And I think that to me is, if I had advice, I wish I would have like given myself, even though I know I've listened to 1,000 of these before and people say the same thing and I just didn't listen. Um, just share your story. Like, it's so many people can relate to you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I had the same experience when I was trying to be, you know, something that I wasn't, or all knowing, or deliver more value than I was prepared to deliver early on in my career. And I just sort of dropped all that and said, look, let me just tell people why I'm promoting this particular thing, weave in my story, give a little inspiration. It doesn't even need to be well thought out or well structured. The majority of videos or pieces of marketing content that are going to really crush it are ones that were sort of done just off of the top of your head, and they're usually going to be the ones that you don't think are going to be the most successful. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like some of the videos I thought, I'm like, oh, this video went viral for this person. Like, let's do it. Like, either it's a flop for me or it goes viral and it doesn't convert. And I'm like, okay, what was the point of that? You know? And
Yeah.
then the videos that I'm like, on there almost crying, talking about how I missed my first Christmas with my family. Like, those are the ones that people are in the comments that are like, I'm on year 3 of missing Christmas with my family. I wish I would have heard about this sooner. Or, that's the stuff that people are like, oh, what is she doing? Because I hate missing Christmas with my family. That's the stuff that touches people. It's not the same. If there's one thing I wish I would have done, it was just put blinders on and just focus on me. Like, you're going to see so many affiliates do all these things, and it's great to meet people. There's such a huge community here, which is such a blessing, but it is very easy to look at other people and be like, oh, they did this. Like, do I need to do this too? Like, well, does it serve you in your business? No. Okay, move forward with it. Like, try something different. What works for, Becca and Caroline, or even in Walcott, like, might not work for me. I'm not a mom. I don't have that side of the story that can relate. How can I tie in the people that relate to me? I'm a lot of things. I'm a nurse. I'm a fiance. I am getting married this year. I'm a new graduate. I can. There's a lot of people that can relate to just graduating and being in the midst of COVID and doing half of their education online. I can
Yeah.
relate to those people. I can relate to the people getting married. I can relate to the nurses or the medical field people. You're the same way. You just have to find who you are and share your story, and you're going to find those people.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So you've already sort of answered some of these questions a little bit, because it seems like you've listened to the show before, but you alluded to this before. I want you to come back to this, because there are some people who are here now who maybe weren't on before, and elaborate. What have you learned about yourself through this process that either you didn't know or you forgot?
I've learned it takes patience. It takes, like, growth is not something to get to where you are to where you want to be. I'm not even fully where I want to be, but I know I'm in the right direction. It takes repetition. Um, it's going to be a lot of external and internal work. External meaning your surroundings, who you're around, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, you know, what you're doing in your spare time. Those are really important things. Like, evaluate your day to day, evaluate, your mentality. How often are you, having insecure thoughts? How often are you truly thinking this isn't going to work for me? Okay, how can I change that? I think, yeah, more so, like, I wish I would have evaluated myself more, and knowing what I know now, and kind of like how I'm getting to where I'm going to be is daily evaluation, internally and externally. Okay, this person, this group of friends, they want to go out. How's that going to look like for me tomorrow when I have to wake up and make a video? Is my video going to be a flop? And it's not that it has to put in so much thought. Like, you can still live your life doing this. It's just something personally for me that I know it kind of takes me a step backwards, if that makes sense. And I'm
Mm.
in a season of life right now where I'm like, I want this. I'm gonna get it. And you gotta want it bad. You have to want it, and you have to put in the work to get there. It's by no means easy, but it's very doable. And
Mm.
I know you hear that all the time from all of these affiliates, like, it's not easy, but it's doable. And then you get in it and you're like, okay, yeah, this is not easy, because you have to do a lot of work on yourself to do it. And I think that was the biggest roadblock for me was,
Mm.
okay, I got to evaluate myself before I can just walk through these steps.
Right. You got to work more on yourself than you do on the mechanics of your business, right?
100%. Yeah.
And that's why I've sort of coined the term the dynamics and the mechanics. I mean, the mechanics, if you can envision an iceberg, and the tip of the iceberg that everybody sees is the mechanics of your business. It's setting up your sales funnel. It's, where to click and how to set things up. And the dynamics is the part of the iceberg that you do not see that's underwater. That is your self-esteem. That is your limiting beliefs. That is your negative self-talk. That is the, all of these, the friends that you're explaining, looking for validation instead of being able to just validate yourself, right? As adults, we need to, and this has been alluded to and said on past episodes just recently, you need to learn how to act first and regulate later. This was said by one of our previous guests here just last week. You need to be able to act first and develop healthy coping mechanisms as you are doing the thing and emotions are coming up. Here's why. Is because you either stay and sit in anxiety and usually reach for unhealthy coping mechanisms like drugs, alcohol, sugary foods, et cetera, or you act and then you feel good about the fact that you took some action and you're going to have some anxiety. Maybe not. Maybe you're going to have less anxiety because you actually took some action, but you regulate and find coping mechanisms as you go. And I promise you, those are much more easy to find once you're acting and you're in the process of taking action than the coping mechanisms in regulating sort of, again, coping mechanisms that you're going to reach for if you're sitting in the guilt and shame of doing nothing.
Yes. Yeah. Doing nothing's going to get you nowhere. It never will. And you're going to find yourself being so proud of yourself, even when you're like not seeing results. Like, even if you're one step closer, whether you're on day 1 or day 2 or day 7 of the challenge, or whether you've invested in the blueprints and you're like, oh my gosh, this is extremely overwhelming. Like, keep pushing forward. I wish I would not have stopped and been overwhelmed and just like thrown my hands up in the air. Everything happens for a reason, but keep pushing forward, because you're going to look back and you're going to see how much growth you've had since the beginning. And I truthfully mean when I say I've never been more proud of myself. Like, results or not, I've never been more proud of myself. So
I love that. That's my favorite thing you've said on the show today. That's my favorite thing. I've come a long way, and it's a good feeling when you look back and you're like, wow, I've showed up for myself every single day. And you see kind of where it's taking you. Keep showing up for yourself. It's worth it. It's so worth it. You're worth it. And when you realize that, and then you take action because you know that you're worth it, you're worth fighting for, you're worth trying new and different and hard things. You're worth taking the time and doing what you want to do with your life instead of what others want you to do. And then when you do that, the result is pride. Legitimate, humble pride. Like, even if you don't get the outcome that you want, like, none of us do. Like, we all fall short. I mean, think about Aaron Rodgers, this probably the best quarterback in the NFL right now. 39 years old, goes to the Jets, Monday Night Football. I think they're paying him 40-something million guaranteed. And 4 plays in, he tears his Achilles. I mean, come on. But I just heard him talk on an interview yesterday, and he's right back to, asking for people to doubt him, saying, hey, this is part of my story. It's all part of the journey, man. It's not the destination. The destination is a wooden box we're all going to lay in, or else we're going to, get cremated. That's the destination, folks. Nobody gets out of here alive. Okay. So it's one life, man. And the prize for living that life is a wooden box. So, I mean, do it, do it while you have a chance, and make your focus not, hey, I'm going to get rich. Make your focus, I love that. And I'm pulling from your words, make your focus, I want to make myself proud.
Mhm. Yeah,
I
I
want to
agree.
make
Agree with
myself
myself.
proud.
Yeah.
Well, Riley, you've given us a wonderful target and something to just so much wisdom and experience from your wonderful 23-year-old self. I mean, I feel like I'm having a conversation with a 53-year-old person.
Oh gosh, thank you.
Just from the way that you've worked so hard on yourself through all of the things that you've done, through the therapy that you mentioned, through the other personal development, tools that you've used, through the additional. I mean, I could just tell that you're somebody who is hungry to grow. You're doing everything that you can to give yourself an advantage, to give your family an advantage, to be able to fulfill your goals of getting slowing life down and moving out to that farm and building your family. And you know what, I know if you were to really sign a contract today to say, yeah, this is everything that I want in 5 years, and you were to sign for it, you would be shortchanging yourself.
Yeah.
You would be shortchanging yourself, because
Mom told me the same thing.
even you have no idea right now how much potential and power and ability you have.
Yeah,
Not just potential, abilities that
yeah.
you are going to use to be able to achieve the things that you want. And I hope that you can take that validation in and know that I believe in you. We believe in you. We're here to support you every step of the way. Thanks for coming on and sharing your wonderful wisdom with us
So
this
much.
morning. And please come back and see me and keep us posted on your journey, okay?
Definitely will. Thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate it.
Okay, Riley, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye guys.
All right, my friends, you can find Riley over on Facebook at Riley Hargrove. That's RYLEEHARGROVE. You can also find Riley over on Instagram at Rye the Affiliate, RY the Affiliate, spelled exactly as it sounds. Well, my friends, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I think I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I've actually attended every single Wake Up Legend, besides a few that Joanne's done. But, I just told Joanne a couple of weeks ago, I said, I can't take any days off. This stuff is too good. I can't miss out on these things, man. I mean, it's just too damn good. I feel like I'm the lucky one. I feel like and you know what? You will, as well, as you continue to be consistent and show up inside of your business every single day. You will become feeling like you are the lucky one, that you have an audience, that you have people, that you have an opportunity to be able to serve. It really is a blessing, man. It really is a blessing. And for those of you who are, fearful about it or anxious about it or think it's this big, scary thing, I mean, look, it's everything that you want and more out of life, to have an opportunity, an unlimited opportunity to be able to help people, to serve people, to tell stories, to share your jokes, all your corniness, all your uniqueness, exactly who you are, in the spirit of helping people and pointing them in the direction of products and services that they can benefit from. And the payoff that you'll get from that is not only, as Riley said, pride, actually being proud of yourself for what you've achieved, for what you're doing, for what you're building, for the direction that you're heading, and all of the positive validation that you will get back from your audience. Always remember, my friends, it's easier for a client to become a friend than a friend to become a client. So if you're doing anything in your life that is involving, you having to solicit the support of your friends and family, you're not the only one who's having a hard time with that, right? So stop explaining to your friends and family, the 8 or 15 people in your life who hold so much power, and start focusing on the 8 billion other fish in the sea who are really excited about hearing your story, who are really going to respond to your passion and knowledge. And go out there and tell your story and share your value. And at the very least, just start creating. Follow our training, of course. Go through the curriculum. You heard Riley, challenge, blueprints, all the things, right? Additional coaching opportunities, all the things. And at the end of the day, none of that matters if you're not going to take any action. So just take the dadgum action. and fail forward and learn as you go and regulate as you go and figure it out as you go. You can do it. You are less of a fearful person than you tell yourself you are. Because when you're in the heat of the moment, you're not as afraid as you are when you're sitting on your couch fretting over everything. I call that future tripping, right? You're tripping about what's going to happen in the future. But when you're actually in the situation that you're afraid of, you execute, don't you? I know you do because you're a survivor. You've made it this far. So go out there and show yourself who you really are. Forget showing the world. Show yourself who you really are, what you're really made of. Do it for you. Do it for you first. Your family, everybody else, they'll benefit. They'll benefit from you taking care of you and putting yourself first and doing it to upgrade and increase the pride that you have within yourself. Stay legendary, my friends. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode. Get out of here. Peace.